All right, good people. I hope you can hear me. This is going to be a very, very, very tough one, but I'm going to try to pull it off. My boys are home, and my daughter are home, and I'm alone at home with them. It's going to be very difficult. This place is not soundproof yet. Still working on it. As you can see, it's not fully ready. But that's by the way, we're here to talk about Chelsea's game in the Conference League against Copenhagen. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm butchering it, if I'm butchering it, apologies. It's not. I've been hearing that name since I started following football, but still not too sure how to pronounce it. But more importantly, I do appreciate you all finding the time to be with me this evening. For those of you in the UK and West Africa, it's still a five. It's still, you could say, evening for me, 5 p.m. In yeah, Texas here. I appreciate you all once again. Timing has been the issue. We changed the state. We moved across states, but I still haven't found a perfect time. But in the end, it just looks as if the only viable solution will be to hire a babysitter, and we have plans to do that. So hopefully that gets done as soon as possible. But that's, by the way, we're here to talk about Chelsea's away game against FC Copenhagen. It's not going to be easy. They're one of the toughest teams in the competition, and I don't think Enzo Maresca will be changing quite a lot. I will be looking at their form in a bit. But that's, by the way, I have Bobby in the house. He's found time to join me, always available to talk Chelsea. Bobby, thank you for joining. I do hope you're doing well, man.
Yeah, big up, coach.
Big up.
Yeah, it's been too long. You've left your whole community high and dry and just wondering where you've been and missing talking football with you. So I
Yeah,
hope you've had a nice move and welcome back
yeah. The
to
move was
your
wasn't.
own platform.
Yeah, the move wasn't really that smooth. There are issues of which I've sorted out with the company. One of my cameras is missing. A Black Magic Mini USR 4K camera and all that. I'm gonna
Wow.
sue them. Yeah, if they don't find it. But that's, by the way. Bobby, are you looking forward to this game? I think we're gonna win this competition. I'm confident we will. That's just me.
Well,
I, but go ahead.
yeah, I mean, I don't talk like that. Yes,
Mhm.
it's good. I mean, that's you, and that's great. I like to take things one game at a time.
Mhm.
Yes, we are in good stead to win the competition, but there's still some way to go. We have to look at what's in front of us before we talk like that. FC Copenhagen, I think we've played them many years ago, whether it's a Champions League
I think
or was
we've
it the
met in the
Cup
Champions
Winners'
League
Cup?
before. I can't quite remember. Let me
Yeah,
check.
it's
But go
been a
ahead.
while. It's been a while. And of course, they're not a team to be taken lightly. I think from here on in this competition, these teams are going to have to be taken seriously. I think Maresca is trying to do that. And with our recent form and injuries, we still have 7 players missing from the squad.
Hmm.
That's including Modric, who I don't know what his B sample what test was, but it looks like it was positive. So we need to be very
Why
astute
isn't that
about this.
information public? The first test, it was released without hesitation, and the second, at the time we were hearing it, that we get to hear about it in a week or two. I think it was 2 weeks. They were saying 2 weeks at the time, and we haven't heard anything. And he's still, you could say, making it clear that he's innocent according to what we've heard. But go ahead.
Well, the fact that it's been so long and there's quiet, to me, I think it's positive. Maybe they'll appeal, but there are bigger issues. Look, mine for Chelsea right now is to stop their dependency on players that are not available or have
Hmm.
problems being available.
Hmm.
I think during the period of when they were going for the whole demonstration and so on. My personal view on that sort of thing is, look, demonstrating like that against the ownership is not realistic. It's not realistic. Nobody's going to go anywhere. They've invested money in the club, and whether we like it or not,
Yeah.
they had been going in the right direction. they just need to wisen up on their planning. This club has been in the top four most of the season, and they were second for a considerable part of the season. Now, that means something is right, and it all boils down to one thing, which is personnel. So, taking that context and going into this game, bearing in mind we still have Leicester over the weekend, and we don't take anybody lightly. We have issues finishing in front of goal. There's a kid I'd like to see him start to play more. Albeit the few seconds we saw him against Southampton, you could immediately see his height and physicality mattered as a striker. Is
Amogu?
it
Is it Amogu or the
Ma Henka and
oh
Hemka?
oh
Please
oh
forgive me if
from
I've
the academy?
yes. After all, we play Mark Gui, he's 18. This kid's 17. We put on a couple of
And he nearly
17-year-olds
scored.
again. Yeah, he got a good header to the ball.
Hmm.
One may argue he was left unmarked, but that happens. You've got to give him a runner, and I would be quite interested. I know this isn't a game to experiment, but I would be interested to see if he's played, because Maresca has to start to do something. This new kid that came in from um is it St.
I think
Etienne?
Saint Etienne, Amogu.
Amogu,
Yeah,
I'm hearing,
he's a good DM.
well, this is, if he is, then that if he's good, that may be the answer to the absence of Lavia. We've got to forget about these injured players. Amogu, I don't know whether he can hack it, especially in the Premier League, but you never know until you try him. When he came on against Southampton, it really wasn't
Hmm.
enough of a sample size, may I use the late Rogers term. It really wasn't enough of a sample size to actually assess him. But he looked strong, which was something that we lack.
Yeah,
I don't think
he
he's,
can be aggressive. He's quick. He reads the game very well too. He doesn't shy
yeah.
away from putting in the tackles to win the ball back.
That's it. I
Mhm.
don't think he's particularly tall, but if you're strong, unlike KDH, and if you win the ball and you make the correct passes and you're a battler, you may be able to get away with it in midfield. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting game. Unfortunately, at the time of the game, I'll be out and about. I may not be able to watch it live. But we've got to go to win it. Now, I posted
Yeah.
something in the chat, the panel chat, about
Hmm.
that's just recently come out about the prize money, and I've been saying,
Yeah, I
I
did see
know,
it. You not long about a few minutes ago actually.
yeah, I'm not digressing. I'll land and make my
Hmm.
point as I go to the World Club Cup. I've always been a uh, 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 pro Club Cup person. In
Hmm.
in football, your pedigree matters, and I'm so thankful that we've actually won that trophy. And I want us to keep winning it because, like every other thing, once you win it, you get a place at the table and you get ratings at the table. And it's very important for sponsorship, it's very important. Your profile as a club is huge in terms of prestige, in terms of your marketability. Now, the World Club Cup this season is going to transcend that. It's what is it? Is the prize money if you go all the way is $1 billion. I mean, that's serious money. You don't sniff at that. Now that's just the beginning. I
Yeah.
predict, and I've kept predicting that trophy, the prize money is going to rise through the roof. It's going to be a bigger trophy than the Champions League. People don't, the stick in the muds don't want to accept
Yeah,
it. They don't want
it's
to
a
see
global
it.
competition, isn't it?
Exactly, and
Yeah.
that's why. Now, having said that, this is what I'm alluding to the Conference League. The Conference League is extremely important to Chelsea now that we're in it. It's not a competition that we should have aspired to be in, but now that we're in it, there's a prestige marker for us. In that, if Chelsea win it and complete the set, These are the things that help your marketability. We have to go all out for this competition for that reason. We are battling for our prestige. We're
Hmm.
battling for our marketability. These things should never be sniffed at. And these things give you points in terms of European competition, full stop, and global competition now in the form of the World Club Cup, full stop, because these things are what helps your seeding. These things are, yet again, what helps your shirt sponsorships
Hmm.
and so on. So, right now, all jokes are over. This is serious business now, and we've got
Yeah.
to take this game
Hey,
and
hey,
this
Hassan,
competition
quickly, let me
seriously.
rephrase that. We
Yeah,
can win that competition. The question is, the truth remains, we have to put in the work needed to win it. We can't just take it for granted. Uh,
absolutely.
but yeah, exactly, because we feel like we're the much stronger team. We, if you don't put in the work, you can't win it. You will not win it, but we can win it. We have a squad capable of winning it. But that's by the way, Bobby. I appreciate you. Let's get a bit of what we have in the chat. There are not too many people watching. We haven't streamed in a while, so that's not surprising. Get their thoughts, and then come back to looking at and quickly before I do that, Copenhagen head to head. We played them in February 22nd, 2011. We beat them 2-0 on their carpet. And then in March, which is the second leg, it was in the Champions League. And then March 16, 2011, the second leg ended 0-0. Yep, this is our third meeting with them. Yeah, I think that's, yeah. The next game will be the third meeting with them. So we have
Yeah,
T.
they're not a
Go ahead.
pushover. I think after, because of that, we went and bought one of their players. I've forgotten who it was. So we have to take them seriously, definitely.
We have to. Listen, no team should be taken. You can say should be underrated. If they're in the competition, they're good enough to win it. They didn't just, you could say, they're not part of it or for the sake of being part of it. They are there by merit, irrespective of what league they've come from. Big up to you too, Jay Tapia 93. Nice to see you. He says big up Bobby and Coach and Bobby. Nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. Nice to see you, Mr. Man. He said, I really like how Chelsea come back this year. He read today in the news Chelsea offered 100 million euros for Leao. I hope for both sides this will happen. I don't like Leao anymore at Milan, and I think, yeah, he needs a change. Do I think we'd pay that much money for Rafael Leao? I don't think so. Leao looks like the sort of player that would struggle in Premier League, but you're entitled to your opinion, and it may well happen. Rumors suggest that we're already speaking with this camp. Do I believe that? I honestly do not believe that. I'm not gonna pretend I do when I don't believe that. But if you want to speak on that, you go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I struggle to see what the real difference is between Liao and Noni Madueke.
None of
I
my
d-
they could probably, yeah, experience. I haven't taken my time to actually compare the two players.
he,
Experience,
he
more importantly.
he plays
Um,
in
and
bits and
yeah, go ahead.
spurts. He seems to be a player that plays in bits and spurts, and I agree with you. He looks like somebody that will struggle in the Premier League. To pay 100 million for that, mm, I'm not sure. I think we've got other investments, and we're supposed to be having yet another player that is left to be seen coming in.
Mhm.
Estevar William, we don't know what he's going to be able to do, and Kendry Pius. So I don't know. I don't know about this Leao story. Um, I think our focus should be to get that striker and get a centre back. And everybody's hedging their bets on Andre Santos. Is he the midfielder we need? I still think we need somebody else with as well. And we shall see. I'm not sure Liao should be our priority in view of what's coming in. I still think that Esteval William is going to need a season or two
Yeah.
to settle in.
Edson, yeah, just to speak about a little bit more about Rafael Leao. He's an excellent player. He can be explosive. He can get 2 goals. He can create. But I think he's dropped form. I think 2 consecutive seasons he hasn't performed as expected. But that's, by the way, the biggest question mark over his profile is his behavior off the ball, which will almost always be an issue in the Premier League. Um, I liked him, but I don't think we have. We don't need a situation where the midfield will be doing a lot of work to cover up for players who are not industrious off the ball. If you get my point, we don't want that again as Chelsea. We already have that issue in Nano Madueke and who else? Even Jadon Sancho doesn't off the ball. He still does his best. He's improved under Maresca, but there's still a huge question mark there. But I don't think it's happened. I think it's just rumors, in my opinion. We have Ty. Ty is in the house. Ty, once again, congratulations for making it into the Dean's list. That's not easy. I am proud of you, and I'm happy that you're prioritizing your education. Nothing will yield again yield something you best result in the future for you than your education. So keep it up. But nice to see you. Up big, by the way. And Miss Melina, my sister, my Canadian neighbor versus sister. Always nice to see you. I do hope you're doing well. I appreciate you finding the time to join the show. So let's get into anything that you want to say, or should we just go ahead with the match preview exercise proper and get to the lineup, and then get to the lineup prediction exercise, Bobby? Up to you. All right, just give me one
Sorry, I
second
was trying
here.
to unmute. No,
Oh, okay,
let's
okay.
progress.
All right. Just give me one second here. Let me take care of something here quickly. I want to be seen. And please, if you're following the show, whether on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, please do us a favor. Take a second, drop a like on the stream. Even if we get up to 10 likes today, we'd be grateful. Grateful we haven't streamed for a while. We have 4 viewers at the same time on YouTube. Wow. Okay, that's great. Even though we haven't streamed. And yeah, that's good. All right, let's see. Let's get into it. Let's look at team. What we should look at. I think I'm in the wrong window. I have to click here. Let me see. Go back. Okay, preview. So I should click on preview and not that particular link there. Let me see. Yep. The preview window. Insights. Let's see what we can learn from the insights here. Their top scorer is okay. His name. I have a very dirty mind. I'm sorry. Pronouncing this name, I find it difficult. His name is Dix, and it's spelled Diks. He has 4 goals in total in the competition. And Mark Gui, the young Spanish, a striker for Chelsea, has 6 goals in total. Yeah, in 6 matches. And Dix has played 7 matches, and he has 4 goals. I think Nkunku has about 4 goals in that competition, or 5 actually. Correct me if I'm wrong if you're following the show. So yeah, good for Matt Gui, but he's not. He's injured. I think he scored 3 in a single game actually. But irrespective of how many he scored in a single game, the truth remains he has 6 goals in total, and that's not easy. What else do we have here? Nothing important again in terms of insights. Nothing that we can learn anything from. Let's see, team form. Wow. In terms of injured and suspended players, they have Andreas Cornelius out, Nikolai Boyson injured, knee injury, and Andreas is doubtful, so chances are he'll still be available. Thomas Delaney illness, mid-March 2025. Lucas Lareja, how'd you pronounce that? Doubtful, Oliver doubtful, Jordan Larson out until April. For Chelsea, Benoit Badiashile, the manager did say during the presser that he's in training for a while. So chances are that he's in the squad, actually, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're Bobby, that Benoit Badiashile will be part of the squad. And so chances are he'd play tomorrow. Gabriel Slonina will never. He just returned
To be
because he was
honest,
injured and had to come back to the club. Go ahead, Bobby.
hearing the name Benoit Badiashile in this, it doesn't give me any excitement at all.
Yeah,
I don't know
and you don't
what
expect him to
value
start, right?
well, yeah, what value does he add to this squad in our time of need as we are now, looking for form. We
Hmm.
know once he's off for a long time, he comes, he's got all these bozos in him and all that. I'm just happier seeing Chalobah available than him, to be honest. And I would rather see Achimpong play than a returning to fitness Badiashile. You know, we don't need to carry passengers at this time.
Yeah, but that's his, I'm not too concerned about Badiashile actually. I heard Rodrigo call Romeo Lavia part-time player, and there's no other better way to describe him than yeah, he's a part-time player until he proves otherwise. But Benoit Badiashile, I think his case is now being, you could say, as severe as the case of even Reece James and Romeo Lavia. So, but that's by the way. Majesty says that I will call it, I would call it luck if we finish top four this season. I think that'd be correct. That's an accurate statement. Why? Because right now it's not just in our hands. As we perform, we'd be praying for other teams to drop points. So yeah, so you're correct to say it'd be luck. You would call it to call it a luck if we end up finishing in the top four. I agree with you. So Nani Madueke is also out. Nicholas Jackson out. Margui until mid March, so he's close to returning. Dacho Fofana probably not going to play. Has he after his return? Was he added to the list to our squad? I'm not too sure about his situation right now. So, but that's by the way. I don't think there's anything else to look at here except for team form. You can argue they are in a better form than us. In 5 games, they lost one, won three, drew one. In 5 games, we lost three, won one, and won two. Actually, we lost three and won two. They won three, drew one, lost one. And in those 5 games, how many goals did they score? One here, four, 6 goals, 7 goals in total. And for us, in the 5 games, we scored two here. Okay, three, four. We scored eight. We scored a lot more. Aston Villa, that was an awful game. The two, Aston Villa, we played better than we did play against the 2 games against Brighton, one in the League One, the Cup game. But against Aston Villa, wasn't we did see an improvement, in my opinion. There was improvement, but not good enough to get a result out of that game. But that's by the way. I think there's nothing else to look at here. We don't have too much. We don't have enough insight to say, okay, let's look at it. How let's try and predict what the most likely outcome of the game would be. But in terms of goals, we scored a lot more than them. But even though they've won more games than us in from 5 attempts. That's by the way, we move on here. Let's see. Fort Mob, they're predicting the Sánchez starts, and I think that will happen. Predicting the two centre back pairings will be Colwell and Tosin. I think would see that happen. I don't know why they haven't selected Rhys James in their predicted lineup, but we get to the exercise proper so that we can round off as soon as possible and call it a day. Bobby, between the sticks, I think Robert Sanchez will start. He's become the second choice goalkeeper, and the pattern is there to help us make that decision. Because when Robert Sanchez was the first choice goalkeeper, Philip Jorgensen usually starts in the European competition. I think that we're going to see that. But before you speak, Bobby, let's hear Choma. Nice to see you. Niralo, it's been a while. I hope you're doing well. Always nice to see you. Hello to you too, Bobby. Let's hear you. Robert Sanchez. I think he starts, no question.
Yeah, I mean, Maresca said he would. He gave the example that he played him in the now to be forgotten FA Cup game against Brighton. So he's
Hmm.
now become the cup goalkeeper. So yeah, he will start. And you know, people talking about Reece James. I sincerely feel that Reece James and Cole Palmer will be on the bench. We can't take our eye off the Leicester game. It's
You don't
a
think the competition has become important enough for both to start? Because
it
this
is
competition may
important.
well be the only way we get to play in Europe if we win it and miss out on the top four.
Well, it is important. It's very, very important. But as you've said, we should have enough. to be able to field strength against these people. And I wouldn't risk injury to Reece James in particular for this game. And
Hmm.
for any game, really, I think you have to pick and choose with Reece James, to be honest. And Palmer coming off the bench isn't necessarily a bad thing. There should be enough. There should be enough to use it. You've got Caicedo, who may be used sparingly against Leicester because we can't risk him picking up a card because of the Arsenal game coming up. We don't need him to be suspended there. There's Enzo. You know, there should be enough, and if there isn't, these guys can come off the bench. That's just how I would do it anyway. I can't see Reece James in particular starting. If he starts Cole Palmer, maybe, but I can't see Reece James starting. Definitely not.
Reece James, I agree. Cole Palmer, probably. Why? We don't have a starting strikers available for selection. Cole Palmer, leaving a Cole Palmer will compound the situation, in my opinion.
Yeah, it would. I mean, I can see Nkunku playing for sure. I don't feel sorry
Go
for
ahead, Bobby. Just give
Nkunku.
me 1 second. Go ahead.
Uh, I think, you know, all these players that made an issue of being rotated will should be pushed to the max. Now, you know, you want to play. It's as simple as that. And he's got Leicester coming up after that. He'll have to play that as well. Now, you may say, "Oh, you know, let's not risk injury with him." Well, there's value in that, but then at the end of the day, these are highly paid footballers, especially in Kunku, and you know they've got to play the game. They've got to get out there and earn the money that they're being paid for. So he is likely to start. I
You
don't
you
know.
you mean Palmer, right?
No, Nkunku I'm talking about.
Yeah, Nkunku definitely. We don't have too many options. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
And the unless he uses Mahenka, the academy kid. Um,
How do I I need to let me find out his name. Go ahead.
yeah, you know, it still shows that we don't really have that much. You know, we've got people like Tyreek George may start. You know, we're still scraping the bottom of the barrel against these people.
Yeah, just give me 1 second here. I will look for that the kids' names later on. Yes, then something. I think the strategy will be Cole Palmer definitely starts in my opinion. Reece James, I think it makes sense to argue that he's not going to start. He'll be using the Premier League in our next game. I think is it Leicester City. But Bobby, you're back for. Let's hear you. If I disagree with you, then I'll explain why I don't think I would see that happen.
Um, this is all the more reason why Reese may have to come off the bench.
Hmm.
I'll go Gusto right back. Centre back will be um, what's his name? Tosin and Colwill, right and left. Left back, I you know I this guy is always playing, and I kind of wish we could rotate him. And I don't want to keep talking about my anger of getting rid of allowing
Vega.
Vega
Hmm.
to go, but there you go, there you have it. But yeah, left back will have to be Cucurella. So that's my
Yeah,
back
I
four.
think I agree. Here's why I don't think I would see changes in the center back area. Of course, that's just our opinion. The manager may well end up, like I said, deciding that it would be better off starting
Or
Badiashile and
Chalobah.
resting, yeah, and Chaloba and resting these two defenders who did very well in the Premier League. But here's my reason, and the reason I think we'll probably still see them. He'd like to give the recovering players more time to recover fully before they get a chance to be part of the squad. I think we'd still see Tosin and Kowa. So I agree. I think this will be the back four. I'd be surprised if he does otherwise, but chances are he'd still, we don't know, but I think most likely this back four. But let's hear you, Bobby. The 2 6s, and chances are he'd still go with the back three, uh, just like we did. And what game was that exactly? But still tweaks things as the game progresses. If it doesn't work out, he usually changes things up to 3 times in a single game. But let's hear you, Bobby. Before I take this question we have on the screen here.
I have a feeling he's not going to play both Enzo and Caicedo. It's going to be either or, and then he'll play that new kid, um,
Amogu.
Amogu. So it's Amogu and to start with, maybe
It makes sense.
Caicedo.
Amogu and Enzo Fernandez. I'd agree.
Okay, since Amogu will sit and Enzo go forward, but does he have enough about him to deal with a team in Europe? Well,
I
I
mean,
just
Europe
know
is.
he's
I mean,
going.
not as you can say, not as physical, not as difficult as the Premier League. I think he'd actually do well in Europe than in the Premier
Well,
League. So I wouldn't be surprised
I think
if I
he'll
see
start.
Amogu starting. And remember, he added him to the squad.
Yeah,
But go ahead.
yeah, yeah. I think he'll start with Enzo. Enzo,
Enzo and
perhaps.
who?
Yeah, and Amogu.
Okay, I don't have him in the database. I'll do that later. But go ahead. 10 here. I'd say Palmer, no question. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. And Neto here, right? You agree?
Will he use Neto? I'm not
In a
sure.
fluid approach, just like we've seen in the last, was it last in the last game? Yeah,
Mm.
he started that, but we as the game progresses, he did move to the flanks, left, right, central, and he was effective in fulfilling that role. Here's the thing: the fact that he's here doesn't mean he operates as a traditional number nine. I know people call it false nine. He doesn't even operate as a number nine. I think the name, you can say the tag number nine in the approach we saw against Southampton was just a label. His operation, it was just a fluid approach because sometimes you see Cole Palmer there and him in the opposite direction. Sometimes you see him on the flanks and whoever that's there central. But just go ahead. I'm listening to you.
Okay, I mean, I'll go with that. I was thinking maybe Tyreek George, who also did well when he came on, but yeah, okay.
Hmm.
Neto,
You
Neto.
Tariq George, it makes sense.
Yeah, I thought that, but yeah, I mean, he's going to want to try and see if he can get an advantage in this game. So, Neto, yeah, to start, and
And
then
Tariq did get
Kunku,
an assist,
and
didn't he?
he did, yes.
He may well start because it wouldn't make sense to play one player here and then play that same player in the Premier League in a few days. When are we
Yeah,
playing Leicester City actually?
I think it's
Uh,
on the either Sunday morning or some. I know it's an early
yeah,
kickoff.
on the 9th. That's 3 days. We're
Yeah,
playing
it's a
tomorrow
Sunday
is,
morning. Yeah,
yeah. So I think he probably will see some rotation, but who? Let's hear you, Bobby. The flanks, the left wing, right wing. Who do you think starts there?
I think he will start with Neto and Sanchez and Sancho.
You think Sancho on the left? Just
Yeah,
it's a fluid approach anyway, so we still see them on the other side.
yeah,
Okay. And on the right hand side, who do you think starts there?
Neto.
And you think in the Premier League, because if Neto starts there, I don't see him starting against Leicester City in 3 days' time.
Yeah, I
Because
see your
I
point.
don't know. In honest, I don't know which of the games to say would be the much tougher game. I haven't. watched Copenhagen this season for like 3 seasons. Actually, I don't remember watching them, but go ahead, Bobby.
I see your point, but this is what happens when the squad is deplenished. We
Hmm.
really are thin. Yeah, I mean, Tyreek George, okay, you could start him. Even at right back, I would have, it's possible you could use Achimpong as well, instead of Gusto. But look,
If Achima
just
stands, then definitely it would be a back three. You could say, yeah, but go ahead, or a hybrid aperture. Go ahead, what you were saying.
I think to start with, he will use Neto and take him off after 60 minutes or so. It's a bit of an overload. I mean, he might start Tyreek George against Leicester. It's not that Leicester are any less of a threat to these people. I just don't know, to be honest. I just don't know. It's a very difficult one, and this is why you need squad depth, because we've got kids. There's no backup to Neto at all apart from Tyreek George. So he's going to have to start. He won't play 90, but he'll play at least 60. So yeah,
Yeah, okay. For this position, I think chances I would see George and Pedro rested for the next game. But we're not too sure. It is fun
yeah.
for us.
I
Let
mean,
me
I,
try and
I
answer this
wouldn't I
question on
wouldn't
the
argue
screen.
with
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
at all. I wouldn't argue with that
Mm,
at all. But then, the same argument could arise for Nkunku. A 3-day turnaround for
mm.
Nkunku is a lot. We forget he's somebody else that is wrapped up in cotton wool, and this is
And we
why.
haven't actually selected Nkunku here, and I think he starts.
Yeah, I think he does. I don't think he plays 90. It depends on how the game is going, but he has to use that Menhenka striker. As young as he is, he's got to use him.
Yeah, probably later on in the game. I don't think he
Yeah.
starts, in
No,
my
he won't
opinion.
start.
Yeah, but that Nkunku starts this game, which means to say that Palmer doesn't start and comes on later. But if has to start. I think Palmer starts, but I think either Sancho or Neto drops. So let's say Nkunku here. We can't have two. Let's do Nkunku here just for the sake of it. But he'll probably be on this side mainly, or in the 10 row. I'm not sure how this is. It's difficult to say what's going to happen. But Nkunku starts, Palmer starts. Um, yeah, maybe we'll see George and not Nato. So Nato plays on Sunday because majority of these guys, I'm not sure what's going to happen here, Bobby. Honestly, but
That's a testimony as to the players we don't have.
yeah,
But
it's
it is
difficult.
what it
Yeah,
is, to be decisive. Because of Sunday, he will start George. Nkunku will definitely have to start out on the left, and there will be changes. That's the beauty of having the 5-man sub. There will be changes,
yeah.
not even halfway through the second half.
I mean, the fun is good. We'll find out what happens tomorrow. And quickly, Majesty is saying the investment on young talent. Do you think it will pay off? Here's the thing: nothing wrong in investing in young talent. Um, Landscape from a financial perspective in football. Again, the landscape of football has changed from a financial perspective. So, signing young talent or emerging talent, whatever you want to call them, um, it's you're being proactive. You're setting uh, things up. I'm not sure how else to phrase it. That you don't have to spend too much in the future to acquire the sort of talent you want to be part of your squad. Here's the thing: I've never had issues with the club acquiring or signing young talents, emerging talents, whatever you want to call them. I've always told Ty, if he remembers, my concern has always been the immediate future of the club. And I've always been concerned that the fans are not going to be patient enough for things to materialize. They started well. I don't have issues with the owners. Do I think they've made mistakes? You can count again a lot of the mistakes. A lot of you can say point to a lot of areas where they've made mistakes. Plenty of them. But what I usually don't like to hear people say is that yeah, they don't want to win. They just want to make profit, which doesn't make sense because you can make profit if you don't win. Both don't exist independently. You'd have to win before you make profit. It's really that simple. But yeah, they've made mistakes. The it will pay off eventually. Will all of them work out? Probably not. It'd be correct to actually say most definitely not. We've already seen David Washington has gone back to where we signed him from. We sold the other young Brazilian who was actually a good player, sold him to a Saudi Arabian club. I can't quite remember. Then Morella, the young Portuguese player who's doing really well in League O right now. So they all will not work out. But if we can get up to 50, 60% correct, it will save us a whole lot of money. Yeah, so be rest assured that, yeah, eventually some will work out, some will not. It's just like the academy. We've had tons of players come through the academy. Some of them, we kept sending them out on loan until they decided they're done. Some of them, we didn't take a step back and think about some of them. You for a while you stopped hearing about them, and sometimes you hear about them again and realize, wow, they're still playing, they're still Chelsea players. So there's no guarantee, there's no way all of them will work out. Uh, a few will fail. I don't know if it's correct to say fail. A few will not make it at Chelsea. Now maybe a lot will end up not making it at Chelsea, but overall they've been proactive because from a financial perspective, things have changed in football. There's PSR, there's FFP. Even if you have £1 trillion, you're not allowed to spend it as you want. There are limits to how much you can spend, and in our case, we don't even make a lot of money from our stadiums. There are lots of issues leading to us not having too much to spend on players. So it's a good plan, but that's not to say they will all work out. Yeah, I'm quite sure you're seeing those things yourself. For me, it's Palmer, the best player at Chelsea. He was last season. This season, you cannot say he is, but he's doing well. He's in a bad form right now, but I think he will recover. The sign he made in the last game, he made the right runs, found himself in good positions, but you could see that yeah, he's lacking confidence to an extent. I think that's not a permanent thing. He'll eventually regain his confidence and start putting away goals and start being that Palmer we'll all like to watch. I think Maresca will play with only one defensive midfielder, but with two strikers. Copenhagen is not that dangerous. No need for five defenders. Okay, and usually in this structure, actually, we're not playing with five defenders. You could say one you could say charged with the responsibility of screening the defensive line. The other, this guy, probably practically operates as a 10. But I think you're talking about playing with a back three, and then having more players to deploy in the attacking area. He may well do that. And we have Vic in the house with an agenda back again. At this time, I'm not sure what agenda he has. Why did you clone NATO? Yeah, I didn't realize I did that actually until until I saw your comment. But welcome back. I'd be shocked if you don't have a dig at me. Big up to you too, Vic. Nice to see you. 1.5 billion mistake. They could have offered us a two-course meal instead of all day. Is that tamales? How do you pronounce that? But here's the thing. Yeah, they've made mistakes, but I don't think it makes sense to argue they're here just to make profit. Where are they by flipping players? How many players are they going to sell to get close to 1.5 billion pounds? Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. If I see somebody and they say, I'm not debating with you, I'm not arguing with you, I'm just elaborating on something that I've said before. If somebody comes to me and said, these owners, if you say something to the effect of you can say then what's the language I'm looking for? If you argue that they're not doing the right thing, they're not, you can say, signing the right players, then I'll listen to you. Then we can debate. But if you just come to me and say, yeah, they're not here to win, they're not here to win trophies, they're just here to flip players and make profit. Sell how many players? Flip how many players? That's the question I'm asking. Yeah. You think they don't know they have to win to attract big name sponsors? Yeah, you can't make profit if you don't win. But that's by the way, we don't have too much to talk about. Tomorrow we'll be back again for the pregame shows, and hopefully I'll find a solution so that we can be consistent with our timing. Bobby, anything else you want to say before we call it a day?
Um, no, as you said, it's there's not much to go through at the moment. Tomorrow is the game. It seems a very long time since we played, to be honest, and we're having these huge gaps in between games. And the frustrating thing for Chelsea fans is that we don't see the benefit. We're not seeing too many injuries, significant injuries coming back, and we don't see any added cohesion to the team with those players that are available. And I just hope this game tomorrow is an opportunity for Maresca's team to show a positive side from them and the benefit of the 1 week's break and training that they've had.
Yeah. In a lot of positive news in terms of players recovering from the injuries they've been suffering. Good news for us heading into the end of the season, the rest of the season. I think their return will go a long way for us. Hopefully, Romeo Lavia don't just play 45 minutes and get injured again. Same thing as Wesley Fofana. I hope so. I hope we'll find a way to manage their fitness to ensure they don't get injured and then we struggle to pick up points in the Premier League. But that's by the way, this game, as it is, in my opinion, maybe because I haven't watched Copenhagen in a while, it's that sort of game, in my opinion, that you just go into it and watch it and see how it pans out. But we have a very good squad, in my opinion, even a better squad. If anything, chances are they might have been together for a long time than us. But even at that, we should be winning this one. And once again, I want to say thank you to Bobby for finding the time to join me on the panel. And sorry about the background noise. This place is not soundproof yet. Working on it, and we're getting there gradually. Thank you to Bobby for finding the time to be with me on the panel, and thank you to my bro Vic for joining. I appreciate you, Vic. Thank you to my brother here. Thank you for joining us. Who else was here? Majesty and Trauma, the queen of the house, was also here. Thanks to all of you. I appreciate you all. See you guys next time. God bless us all. And cheers. Miss Melina, also, by the way.